I want to thank you guys for joining me for this episode of Corona Chronicles Live. I'm so excited to have my next guest, Mithilesh, here. We actually have met through networking events, through LinkedIn connections. So he is the performance coach. So we're going to hear more about what that is. But at this time, I'm going to give him the floor to introduce himself before we get into the interview.
Thank you, SuperMom. Well, well, performance coaching is a very unique field that I am in. So my audience is absolutely varied. Like I have a variety of audience I work with, ranging from politicians to public speakers to entrepreneurs, to singers, models, actors, and I do a lot of work with sportsmen. So sports
Mm,
is only one area where I get the opportunity to do technical, pure performance coaching. The rest is like so easy, so it's about a mindset. So I'll begin with sports because sports is where there is a lot of pressure, tremendous expectation, tremendous anxiety, and like they practice throughout the year and they need to perform like once in a blue moon. And what if they couldn't perform on the day? I mean, the whole practice. Like I was reading an article on Usain Bolt, and then I don't recall it, but I read it years back. So what they said is that he practiced for the whole life and he performed for hardly 2 minutes.
right.
So there are so many athletes like him who have practiced for the whole life, and they had only those 2-3 minutes to perform, and they couldn't perform in those 2-3 minutes. Usain Bolt could perform, right? So
Wow.
it's about getting into that right state of mind where you are
Mm-hmm.
free from the inhibitions, the fears, the expectations, the pressures, the anxiety, and all the negative or whatever type of self-talk or criticism. There is so many internal interferences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are external interferences, but the internal interferences are the bigger hindrance,
I
and that
love
is
that.
why people are not able to perform on the day. It's like a housewife. Now I'm going to relate the same thing which Usain Bolt does with a housewife. The
Mm-hmm.
housewife cooks food. Now the recipe is the same, the cook is the same, the ingredients in the house are the same. One day
Mm-hmm.
she prepares awesome, and the same dish some other day like she is not good. Now what
Mm.
changed? What changed is the mindset. There were a lot of internal interferences which did not allow the housewife to cook the dish the way she normally
Mm.
does. So performance is a byproduct of a mindset. I mean,
Mm.
now let me talk of something else here. Like it's like weight loss. Now this is something very unique. People
Mm-hmm.
go on diet, people follow a diet chart, and if they go on a lot of dieting stuff. Like exercising, always good. But I'll not
Mm-hmm.
talk of exercising. I'll talk of only the diet aspect of it. Now, now see, it's about performing to lose weight. That is also a performance. I mean, you see people like they blow up like balloons after they stop dieting,
Right.
right?
Right.
But the challenge they are facing is there was not a shift in the mindset which happened. That is why they blew up again, even after
Mm-hmm.
losing weight. So it requires a shift in the mindset. That is
Mm-hmm.
where things happen. I always tell my clients like, do you want to do things or you want to make things happen? If you
Mm.
want to do things, then you have to get determined of to do it. And if you
I
want
like-
things to happen, you have to get into the right state of mind, the right mindset where things happen. So
Okay.
that is what performance is all about.
I love that. Now, so, this is a great topic right now because a lot of people are preparing for a new year
Yes.
here in the United States. Now, you're in Dubai. Is that where you're at?
No, I'm in India.
Okay, so you're in India, but here in the
Yes.
United States, it's a big deal.
Yes.
Everybody makes these New Year's resolutions,
Right.
for what they're going to do differently. What is it that we get wrong when we have that type of mindset about,
Uh,
starting something new and then 6 weeks down the road, we've forgotten all about it and we're back to our same routine?
now see, I mean, that is a typical. I always use the word failure cycle. For me,
Mm,
this is a typical failure cycle when people decide to do them. It's like, I mean, you have seen such people. What happens is, like last week of December, every year, there are people who make New Year resolutions.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And almost half of these people who make New Year resolutions, their New Year resolution is like common. It's a
Mm-hmm.
common New Year resolution, the most common one. And the resolution is to exercise, get fit, lose weight. I mean, this is the most common New Year resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens after, and once the New Year begins, like most of them do nothing about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like I tell you, the game is you versus you. There is one
Mm-hmm.
you who wants to be fit, as per the resolution, wants to be fit, wants to lose weight. That's one you, and there is another you, which wants to ensure that you remain in the comfort zone.
Mm.
So there are two yous. Now try to understand this basic fact. There is one you which creates resistance, which does not allow you to take the next step, and there is one you who has the desire to do it. So the
Mm.
game is always you versus you, and whether you do it or whether you don't do it, it is you who wins. Now that's the most important aspect people need to understand.
That's
It
deep.
is
Yeah,
you who
that's
wins.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
whether you fulfill your new resolution or not,
Mm-hmm.
in both the scenarios, it is you who wins. It's the
Mm-hmm.
game you versus you. Now which you wins?
I love that. That's good. And nobody to blame but you, right?
That's right.
Because we want to blame people. So
That's
I
right.
love the fact that you mentioned it's a failure cycle.
Yeah.
So often things happen and
Yeah.
we just accept it as that's just how life is
Yeah.
instead of really exposing the light that this is a cycle, this is a pattern, and
Yes.
you can continue with that pattern or you can walk away from that. So for
Yes.
somebody who's saying, you know what, for the past 5 years, I've done this New Year's resolution, I'm on a failure cycle. What's the first step they need to take to get on a success cycle?
See, the first step to be taken. See, there are some reasons for the failure cycle. The
Okay.
first reason, the first reason is is goals. Like they don't have proper goals in place,
Okay.
and that is what I mean. Like it's about clarity. They are not exactly clear of what they want to have and why they want to have it.
Mm-hmm.
The first step is setting the right goal, and the right goal is something very simple for me. It is a goal which should challenge you. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It should challenge you in terms of, it should just stretch you to go beyond. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
That is the precise perfect goal. That is what I have all my clients do.
Mm-hmm.
The goal should be good enough to stretch you. If it is
Mm-hmm.
really big, I mean, you are in a failure cycle. You won't go beyond that.
Mm.
You need to break the pattern. So how do you break the pattern? You break the pattern by stretching, by setting very precise goals which just stretches you to just take the next step. Just they should be challenging enough. They should
Mm-hmm.
never be big, because you are
Mm-hmm.
already into a failure cycle. The big goal is actually going to like put you down. So that
Mm-hmm.
is where most people miss the bus. A
I
very
like that.
important aspect. Yeah.
Now, so what do we do? And this is good. This is like eating the elephant one bite at a time.
Yes, that is good.
It's like having the goal that stretches you,
Yeah.
so I love the fact that you mentioned lose weight. So most
Yeah.
people will be like, well, I don't have 30 or 40 minutes to exercise.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense for me to start at 10 minutes because, to be honest, I haven't been working out. So
Right.
10 minutes might be a stretch for me, but we
Right.
don't want to admit our weaknesses. So how do you get to the point to where you have that awareness that you are not well advanced in this new pattern that you're setting for yourself?
See,
Does that
it's
question make sense?
when it makes sense. Now, see,
Mhm.
what happens here is something very simple. I mean, people say that like I don't have the half hour to
Mhm.
work out, but I tell people like, do you have 5 minutes to work out? I mean, it's like you want to do 50 push-ups. That's fine, but there are ways to do 50 push-ups. What if you do 5 push-ups 10 times in a day?
Mhm.
Every hour you do 5 push-ups. In 10 hours you are done with 50 push-ups.
Mhm.
So this is the only question I have. I mean, I ask people who tell me like I don't have that half an hour. Okay, can you do 5 push-ups every hour?
Yeah.
In 10 hours, you are done with 50.
Yeah.
So you can look out for such small little things you can do
Mm-hmm.
over a period of time. Like you do it for the whole day. You can just walk for 5 minutes and
Mm-hmm.
do that every hour. You do it every 2 hours. But that is
Yes.
where you begin. That is where you actually begin. And once you start doing it, like you start breaking the patterns, you start coming out of that failure cycle.
Mm.
And that is
That's.
where real magic starts happening. You start believing in yourself. My God, I can do this. And
Mm-hmm.
once you get into that state of mind, yes, I can do this. I mean, you can do wonders.
I love that. Now, so, and during this pattern and this cycle that you're
Yeah.
recreating, what are some tools or tips that we should be mindful of to keep that pattern going? Because recover from depression. And one of the
Okay.
things I learned was I was in this cycle. I was hospitalized 3 times. So I'd start a new pattern, go back to the old pattern. But it wasn't until the last one that I started doing things differently and I don't have to worry about that pattern anymore. Right.
Okay.
So
Right.
what are some things that, you know, um, people might be doing that is not creating a successful roadmap for them to continue
Right.
with this new pattern?
Right. See, now, I mean, this is a very, I mean, interesting topic you bring about on depression. See, my
Mm-hmm.
career, like it's more than 10 years now, coaching
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I have helped more than 500 people overcome depression in my career, and
Mm-hmm.
I have actually solved more than 125 suicidal tendency cases.
Wow.
Okay, so it's a mindset. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what the game I play. It's you versus you. If
Right.
if it's I mean in any aspect of life, it is
Mm-hmm.
just you whether it is depression or whether it is a suicidal tendency or whether it is weight loss, whether it is business growth, whether it is a sportsman performing on the day. The
Mm-hmm.
game is the same. It is always you versus you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now what happens is once you get into the new pattern, and that
Mm-hmm.
is what you are trying to ask me, right? Once you get
Mm-hmm.
into the new pattern, then how to continue? Don't fall back. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there is a very simple thing to be done. See what happens is people fall back for one big reason. They get into the same loop of thinking again,
Mm-hmm.
the same pattern or the same cycle of thinking again, and
Mm-hmm.
that is why they fall back to the old pattern of being depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Now what happens is, I mean, you can use the same loop, but you can turn it to a positive one. I mean, it is very
Mm-hmm.
easy to do. Recall all the positive experiences of the life and just be with those memories. Sit with that feeling, that positive feeling for 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Do it for 2 3 4 times a day, and you will actually, like, the more you do it, you will be, I mean, that is how people get depressed. They get into that negative loop and they keep on continuing that loop on and on and on and on. Eventually they'll end depressed. How come
Mm-hmm.
you reverse it? You make a loop which is positive, and you keep, and now
Mm-hmm.
for the positive loop, the tough part is we need to practice and reinforce it. The negative loop happens automatically.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
I
big
love
challenge we
that.
face,
Yeah.
and that's
That's a
that's the biggest challenge.
yeah.
So the negative loops just happens, like even if we don't want it, it just happens. But
Mm-hmm.
when we talk of creating a positive loop, it calls in for conscious efforts and
Mm-hmm.
practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So be consciously aware of it. You get into a negative loop, the first thing is be aware, break the pattern. Break the
Mm-hmm.
pattern by simple: stand up and walk, go and sit somewhere else, and then
Mm-hmm.
think of the positive pattern. Get
Mm-hmm.
into that, make that positive loop, be with that positive feelings for 2 3 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, you are done. You have again reinforced the positive, replaced the negative with the positive. That is what you actually did.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple thing to do, but you have to do it consciously. It requires efforts.
I love that. So this brings a good point because the mindset that you have as a performance coach, it
Yeah,
is the work that you have to do to maintain that, you know.
yeah,
And I tell a lot of my clients, myself, I don't watch the news. I purposely create a bubble for myself so that I
yes.
can maintain my level of positivity. So, what is it that you do on a regular basis that keeps you in this space to be not absorbed with some of the things that happen around you?
Right. See, like my morning begins at 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the first thing that I get into doing is a lot of breathing exercises.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a routine of almost 30 minutes of breathing exercises. That is where my morning begins with.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do some good amount of stretching and a few push-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I ensure that all the muscles of my body move.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next thing that I do. you know and by the time I'm done with that, it's time for me to, get dressed in my shorts and t-shirt, take my bag and go out, play table tennis. So after playing table tennis and I'm free, I come back home by 8:30. So from
Mm-hmm.
5 to 8:30 I am busy with myself.
Mm-hmm.
That is the whole time I spend for myself, on myself, with
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
See, breathing exercises is something that I never liked, but with practice, I started loving it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I saw an improvement in my health.
Mm-hmm.
My health to change. It was a turnaround in my health entirely. I
Wow.
was always healthy, but still there was a turnaround in my health.
Mm-hmm.
And followed with stretching and a lot of push-ups and all those stuff. Like initially, like I found it to be very tedious. Oh my god, so much of work to do. But once I got into doing it and I started seeing results,
Mm-hmm.
now I can't think of a day when I don't do it.
I
And
love
then
that.
play a sport. And then play a sport. 1 hour of table tennis, that's daily.
Mm.
So this is like uh, from 5 to 8:30, like almost 3.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time for me, for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that this time actually keeps me going.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So
during the day, like there are times like I get, at times I get into doing some ho'oponopono prayers.
yeah, I just learned about that the other
Okay.
day. I love you. Thank
Yeah,
you. I'm sorry.
that's
Please
right.
forgive me.
That is
That's
correct.
awesome.
That's all. It works wonders, I tell you. It
Yeah.
works wonders.
Mm-hmm.
So I get into doing ho'oponopono prayers, and then I get into doing some EFT as well
Mm-hmm.
during the day. So I spend like 15 odd minutes doing Ho'oponopono prayers, and then I spend around 15-20 minutes doing EFT anytime in the day. Like I spend this 2 15-minute slots.
Mm. I love
So
that. Now, so I'm intrigued. So with these prayers, how long have you been doing it? And, before you just notice the manifestation of things being different.
see, this is Ho'oponopono. Like
Yeah.
I'll not get into the story part of it, but the
Right.
story of
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono is also very interesting. How
It
did
is.
it, like, it become a big thing in the world today? It's a phenomena. Like thanks to
Yeah.
Dr. Joe Vitale, like
Yeah.
he did a lot of work, like getting the right person, like who did a lot of work with
Yeah.
Ho'oponopono, and then jointly publishing a book and doing workshops all over the world.
Mhm.
So I'll not get into that story part of it,
Right.
which is also very interesting. But see, it's about just 4 phrases. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. Just
Mhm.
4 phrases. Try
Mhm.
doing this. Like if you are, if see, I mean, uh, the relation. It's about relationship, right? Everything.
Mhm.
See, when I when
Mhm.
I talk of when I talk of any damn thing in the world, the game is you versus you,
Mhm.
right? So there are two yous. So there is
Mhm.
a relationship of you with you.
Right.
So, there is a relationship that you have with food, and there is a relationship that you have with body.
Right.
So when this relationship actually becomes dysfunctional, you gain weight.
Mm.
For me, weight loss is a relationship program. And it begins with your relationship with yourself. That becomes dysfunctional. That is the first thing that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the simple way of improving your relationship with yourself is just say, "Hey Mithilesh," that's my name. Like, I close my
Mm-hmm.
eyes. I say, "Hey Mithilesh, I'm sorry. Please
Mm-hmm.
forgive me. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I love you." And do it for 15 odd minutes, and do it twice a day,
Mm-hmm.
and do it for at least 40 days. I
Mm-hmm.
tell you. And once if I mean, you need a lot of commitment to do it for 40 days, but if you do it for 40 days, you'll do it for the rest of your life, because you'll
Mm-hmm.
start seeing wonders happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
I
that's true.
love that. Yeah, because being able to take that accountability, I think that's just
Yeah.
awesome. And I think, because a lot of people talk about forgiveness, for example.
Yes.
And it's always, oh, when you forgive other people, that, helps you. And you have to forgive yourself. That's the
That's
element
true.
that I had to
That's
learn,
telling.
because
Yes.
it was like I was beating myself up about what I was experiencing. And it wasn't even, and everybody else may not have even been saying anything. So I think a lot of people miss that component of recognizing that it is the relationship that you have with yourself. You have to advocate for yourself when it comes to, what these goals are, aspirations. You have to put yourself in mind when it comes to, hey, I said I was going to do this, so I need to do it. Because who else is
Right.
going to do that for you if you don't do it for yourself?
Yeah. That's true. See,
Mhm.
I mean, for me, what I understand is we have three types of strengths. The
Mhm.
three strengths that we have, like whatever color, whatever place in the world we live, we have three strengths. The first
Okay.
is the physical strength,
Mhm.
the strength of the body.
Mhm.
And to enhance on the physical strength, what you need to do is you need to do work on physical fitness and
Mhm.
improve on the physical strength. The
Mhm.
second is the strength of the mind.
Mhm.
Okay. So now to enhance on the strength of the mind, what you need to do is you need to work on mental fitness and emotional fitness. You
Mhm.
work with these two areas of fitness. That is where you strengthen your mind.
Mhm.
And the third is the strength of your soul, the strength of your spirit. What do you
Mhm.
call it? And to improve on it or enhance on it, what you need to work is work on spiritual fitness.
Mhm.
Because there are three areas of fitness. The first is physical fitness, the second is mental and emotional fitness, and the third is spiritual fitness. And as a thumb rule, any and every issue that a person faces in life, whether it may be related to business or relationship or weight or personal growth or any damn thing, the
Mhm.
challenge person is facing is he is not fit on all these three dimensions. You need to improve physical fitness, you need to improve mental emotional fitness, and you need to improve spiritual fitness. For any damn any damn problem, any issue, any person on the face of the earth facing, the challenge they are facing is they are not fit, either mentally or emotionally or spiritually. That
I
is
love
the
it.
only one problem.
Wow. Now, so you mentioned the mental and emotional
Yes.
fitness. So how do you? So it sounds like the key then is having those both in alignment. Because
Yes, that's true.
so how for most people who are emotional,
Yes.
what would be a step that they could take to get those two working together? What's the
Okay.
first step for that?
I'll tell you. See,
Mm,
now let this brings us to an understanding or one word which is called decisions.
mm,
Life is the end product of decisions. Like the life we are living today is the
mhm.
product of the decisions we took in the past.
Right, right.
And the life we'll
Yeah,
be living in the future are the end product of the decisions we are taking now.
right, right.
So
Okay.
for any and every decision, there are two aspects.
Mhm.
One is focus and the other is state of mind.
Okay.
Right?
I'm
So
taking note.
your focus has to be Your focus has to be absolutely clear. Focus is always long term.
Okay.
Focus is always long term.
Okay.
So that's it's about your goal, your clarity, your purpose behind anything that you want to do, whether
Mhm.
it is weight loss, relationship, business, whatever.
Mhm.
And the second aspect to decisions is the state of mind.
Mhm.
Now, what is your
Okay.
state of mind now? So these are the two elements which typically they come together. And if one is missing, the decisions are not of a good quality. Like I mean, they are not good enough to propel a person in the next to the next level.
Mm.
So your question was about emotions,
Yeah.
right? So it's being emotions are good. The first thing to be understood.
Mhm.
Every emotion has a lesson that it gives us.
Okay.
The problem is we don't learn from it, and we are not even aware that these emotions they are here to teach us something.
Okay.
Okay, it's like if you are angry, the lesson that comes from it is that one of your rules or one of your values has been violated by someone else.
Mm.
But the other person who has violated your rules, I mean, his rules and values are different.
Mhm.
But obviously, the other person who decides and does something based on his or her values and rules. You have your values and rules. So if the other person does not follow your values and rules, you are angry. That this is
Mm.
the message, and so every emotion has very specific message that it gives us.
Mhm.
The challenge is we don't know. We are not aware of this fact,
Mhm.
and we flow. So for me, I'm angry. The first thing is like I be aware of it, and the second thing is okay. Who violated my laws? Who violated my values? And who violated my rules? And
Mhm.
how did they violate it? I mean, is the other person following my rules or values in his life? No, he's bound to do that. That's fine.
Mhm.
So the baseline is always operate from one simple statement, one liner. This one liner is everyone is always right. Everyone is always right based on their values, their rules, their
Mhm.
understanding of the world, their experiences.
Mhm.
Everyone is always right.
From the Four
This,
Agreements, you read that?
yeah. So
Mhm.
so it's like a terrorist who gets into doing a bomb blast. Like I'm not advocating them, but for the
Mhm.
terrorist, what he has done is right based on
Mhm.
his values, his rules, his understanding, his
Mhm.
experiences, his learnings. What he has done
Mhm.
is right. For
Mhm.
us, he is a terrorist. But for him, he has done something awesome.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if we start living life from this one philosophy,
Mhm.
many relationship issues will get solved.
Mm.
Just tell yourself. I mean, I've been practicing this for some time now,
Mhm.
maybe 3 or 4 years.
Mhm.
So whenever I am talking to someone and someone like disagrees with me,
Mhm.
and there are times where we get into arguments and debates as well. But the
Mhm.
best thing that I fully participate in the argument and debate, but I have this one thing in my mind which continuously keeps on going on. The guy is right based on his understanding and
Mhm.
learnings.
Mhm.
That does not mean that I am wrong.
Right.
I am also right based on my understanding and my learnings and my experiences.
Mhm.
So everyone has to start operating from this one basic philosophy
Mhm.
that the other everyone is always right. Start
Mhm.
living life with this one liner. I tell you, most of the problems you will just solve just like that.
So true. Because I think really the basis for a lot of disagreements is there is this mindset that if one person is right, the other one is wrong. There's
Yes,
no thought that both people can be right.
that is true.
So people, I challenge them to say, we could look at an elephant. You're at the front of the elephant and do a
Yes,
description. I'm at the back. We're
that's true.
both right. We're just looking at it from a different perspective.
Different perspective. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But it's about now it is about putting it into practice. That's the
Yeah.
key. I mean,
Yeah.
having an understanding of it is very different, but putting it in practice, like when you are talking to someone, and if
Mm-hmm.
there is a disagreement, this is a practice that you have to get into. Ah, you are right, based on your experiences and your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I am also right, based on my learning, my experiences, my knowledge.
So true. But I think, that was one of the things I struggle with because I was raised as a high achiever, and so school was something that, the academic side, getting the accolades for that.
Right.
So it was this thing of being competitive, always having the right answers. So for many people who that has been something that they have grown to be ingrained or imprinted in them, what would you say is the first step to kind of let go of that always being right mindset? Because that's a challenge in itself, you know?
Mm. See, uh, the best part is, you know, uh, when I say that, like you are right, based on
Mhm.
your understanding, knowledge, experience, learning, and then
Mhm.
I'm also right.
Mhm.
But the bigger understanding is we both are operating for our perceptions. We both are wrong. That is a bigger understanding.
Mhm.
It's I mean it's not a fact. Whatever you're saying, what am I am saying, you are talking of your perceptions, I am talking of my perceptions, but eventually we both are talking of our perceptions. We are
This
not
is
talking
true.
of the facts.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. That's a game changer right there. Yeah, that's
Right.
true. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
that's the next level of understanding. The first is you are right, I am right, and the second is like we both are wrong because we both are our perceptions.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
So true.
so once a person reaches this level of thinking, like that that thought of like I am always right, like that thought, like it slowly starts fading off.
Mhm.
It just melts off.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's your way of thinking. It's your philosophy that makes all. See, it's like philosophy makes the huge difference.
Mhm.
As see, I do a lot of change work. It's more than 10 years now, and there are
Mhm.
so many people around the world who do a lot of change work.
Mhm.
A typical understanding of change is a slow and a tedious and a painful process.
Mhm.
This is how change has been understood by like almost all.
Mhm.
My philosophy that I come from is change is easy and fast.
Yeah. If you do it every day.
So so when I say change is easy and fast, you know, I can change really fast because it's easy and fast.
Yeah.
And when I work with clients, I deliver change easy and fast because that is the philosophy from which I come.
Mm. I believe that. Yeah.
And there are so many people who do change work. They come from a philosophy that change is a slow, tedious process. So
Mhm.
when they work with the clients, their clients experience change which is actually slow and tedious.
Mhm.
It's about what is the philosophy you're coming from.
This is true. Yeah.
It's entirely a thought process.
Mhm.
It's the way of thinking. It's the way of being that
Mhm.
makes the biggest difference in performance.
Yeah. Because if you think that it's fast and easy, you you're on that energy of that.
That's right. That's
So
very true.
some of the negative things that other people talk about, like being back on that failure cycle,
That is true.
they're
Yes,
on a different level, not even on the same plane as where you're at. So that's
that's
why,
right.
yeah, you have to change your mindset about what you're thinking so that you can begin to make the decisions to line up with where you want to be. Which,
Yes,
okay,
that's very true.
yeah,
That's very true.
makes this is
So,
awesome. I could talk for hours, okay? I have a million questions in my head. I'm thinking we're gonna have to have you come back because
sure,
definitely,
why not?
in probably towards the end of January, people will need to hear this again, right?
Okay.
So, what is the best way for the audience to get a hold of you?
To get a hold of,
Mm-hmm.
to get a hold of me,
Uh-huh.
I am easily reachable on LinkedIn.
Okay.
My name is there and on the screen, Mithilesh Chudgar. If you
Mm-hmm.
put the whole name Mithilesh, my surname is, if you put the whole thing Mithilesh Chudgar, there is only one Mithilesh Chudgar in the world,
Amen.
and you'll find me. So
Awesome.
you go to LinkedIn or you go to Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
you type Mithilesh Chudgar, and you'll bump into me. And like
Awesome.
I have my mobile number and my email IDs, everything there. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to get connected.
Now, and so do you have like these regular like performance seminars or something, don't you?
I don't do a lot of seminars. I do very few of them, but
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I work
Okay.
with clients individually, and
Mm-hmm.
then there are courses like which I run, which are a 3 month programs. Like I don't do those 3 days, 3 days seminars. No, I don't do that. I don't operate in that model.
Okay.
So it's like if I do a 3 day seminar, I would prefer to do that in a 3 month period.
Okay.
Yeah, with a group of people.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens
Mm-hmm.
is I deliver the same stuff, but which is phased out in 3 months. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like eating the elephant one bite at a time.
Right.
And there is a lot of review that happens with me
Mm-hmm.
of what is happening. Are you able to execute it? You are not able to execute it. Then what else? What can be done? What are the
Mm-hmm.
reasons? What are the causes you're not able to execute? Now let's work on it so that you are actually able to execute it. So it's
Love
all
that.
about execution. And for me, growth is not in knowledge. Growth is in execution. That is what performance is all about.
Amen. Because we got a lot of shelf geniuses. Okay.
That's right.
They've got books out of the wazoo that are on those shelves and not being implemented. So I love that. I love the
See,
way
I have
you
a
work.
I have a very good friend of mine. Like, I go to his place. He comes to my house, and like families, like we have families get together. Like we go out there for dinner. They come for dinner to our place. So
Mm-hmm.
in his house, like there is the whole like wardrobe full of books. Like he has like a big, like he has somewhere around 2,000 odd books in his house,
Mm-hmm.
and he has already actually read all those books. And I always tell them, you take any one book and you read just one quote from that book,
Mm-hmm.
and you just like, you know have that quote running in your veins, just like blood running in your veins. You
Mm-hmm.
make that quote a part of every cell of your body, and you
Mm-hmm.
just work one quote. Don't
Mm.
read anything else. If you can make your life that one quote, you can do wonders.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It can be quoted by any author of the
Mm-hmm.
world, any one quote. Just take one quote and live that quote fully, and you can do
Mm-hmm.
wonders.
So
It's
true.
about it's about execution.
Yeah. That's so true. So true. Well, we just thank you so much for all your insight and wisdom. I have, a page of notes over here, and I'm going to be watching this replay because I love the concept and the conversation. I think it's really good.
Thank you.
I sum it up with it's you versus you. So I think that is so key because so many times we want to say it's us versus them or
Yes.
me versus her or something like that. So this is great. So, what final words or insights would you want to share with the audience before we go?
See, there is only one insight.
Hmm.
You have to become a better version of yourself. That is the only one thing which is in your hands, which is in my hands. I cannot control situations. I cannot influence even my wife or my kids. Neither you can.
Hmm.
We can control nothing. The only thing that we can control is our thoughts and emotions. That is
Hmm.
the only one thing we can control.
Hmm.
That is the only one thing. I mean, nothing else is possible. I mean, entrepreneurs, they cannot control their staff. It's not
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm.
Husbands, can't control their wives. Wives can't control their husbands.
Mm-hmm.
Parents can't control their kids, kids can't control. No one can control no one, no one can influence no one.
Mm-hmm.
If there is only one thing in your control, then that's your thoughts, that's your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest irony is people think that this is the only thing that I cannot control, that thoughts and feeling. The rest all I can control. That's the biggest irony that people live with. It's
Mm-hmm.
exactly opposite of that. Guys, there is only one thing you can control. There is only
Mm-hmm.
one thing you can work on. That's your thoughts and feelings. And once you start working on it, that is where you become a better version of yourself. And that's when
Mm-hmm.
you start playing that game, you versus you, and you go to the next level.
Yeah. Great words. So I encourage you guys to reach out to Mithilesh and, just have a conversation. Get on a Zoom call. Do something a little different than what you've done in the past as you think about all the reflection for this year and what kind of things have transpired in your life, and think about where you want to go and get some insight from somebody who can help you with your performance and accomplish the things that you desire. So we just want to thank you for watching. We thank you again, Metellus, for your words
Uh,
of wisdom.
you're welcome, and
And
thanks for inviting me.
you are so welcome. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. We will be sure to address them if you're watching the replay and things of that nature. So have a great holiday, everybody. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye for
Thank
now.
you. Bye bye.